Hi. A visit to the decorative materials market. The Jiazhou Decorative Materials Market at the Big Bend has been in operation since 2003. Located at the intersection of the Guangzhou Expressway and Suiyin East Road in Yanbu, Nanhai District, Foshan City, and close to major export ports such as Nansha Port and Huangpu Port. The entire commercial district covers an area of approximately 600,000 square meters and features more than 6,000 stores. Providing renovation procurement and design services to homeowners, designers, and contractors, it is the nation's largest procurement hub for decorative materials. Products available in the market include lumber, decorative materials, plywood, MDF, particle board, block board, solid wood panels, logs, wood moldings, door and window profiles, aluminum products, hardware fittings, bathroom fixtures and ceramics, stone, decorative panels, acoustic panels, integrated wall panels, bamboo wood fiber materials, custom furniture, and decorative materials. The product clusters are located in areas such as Nanhai and Shund in Foshan, Zhongshan, and Chaozhou. For example, furniture panels are produced in Longjiang Town, Shund, bathroom ceramics in Chaozhou, and aluminum doors and windows in Nanhai, Foshan. Next, I'll discuss the challenges related to building materials procurement. When interior materials fail fire safety inspections, it's often the case that the certificates are genuine, but they don't match the shipment in question. The formula for the batch sent for sample testing was different from that of the mass production shipment. The factory switched raw materials midway to cut costs. We therefore generally begin overseeing the process from the moment the order is placed. The fire resistance rating is clearly specified in the technical specifications. Euroclass for Europe, EGB, S1, D0, NFPA for the US, and FM for the Middle East. We select only from factories we have worked with before and whose certifications are genuine and verifiable. We do not choose factories with certifications of unknown origin. We station staff on site to monitor production. Carefully compare the ingredients in the formula with the report. Before shipping, have a third-party PSI conduct another review to verify that the brand, model, and batch number match the report item by item. This way, hotel projects won't get held up during final inspections or be required to be torn down and rebuilt, and residential projects and contractors won't end up facing complaint from homeowners or getting entangled in lawsuits. When indoor air quality fails to meet standards, it is often not because the materials themselves fail to meet the standards, but because the amount of edge sealing, adhesive, and assembly glue used is added later. The certificates test the raw materials, but no one monitors the total emissions once they're stacked together. It's only after installation that the formaldehyde levels are found to be above the limit. We generally set standards based on the destination before placing an order. E1 for the EU, CARB Phase 2 for North America, and the Gulf Standard for the Middle East. Clearly specify the material specifications in the technical specifications. Select only from factories with which we have long-term partnerships and whose certifications are authentic and verifiable. During the production process, someone monitors the materials. If the sheet materials or adhesive do not meet the standards, corrections are made on the spot. We recommend that customers allow 2 to 4 weeks for ventilation after construction is complete before conducting measurements, and that the project be handed over only once the data meets the standards. This way, the operating license review process won't be held up, and the system won't have to be dismantled and reinstalled. To prevent damage during the transport of large structural components and roof trusses, it is essential to ensure that the 3 key steps, packaging design, container loading, and arrival inspection, are all carried out properly. For packaging design, packaging standards are determined based on the loading and unloading conditions at the destination, and each component is individually numbered. Apply moisture-proofing treatment and mark the lifting points and center of gravity on the exterior of the packaging. Slender components, such as trusses and support rafters, should be positioned on the designated load-bearing points. Avoid placing items in the middle of the members to prevent compression and bending. At the joints, secure them with protective padding and wrap them in bubble wrap to prevent indentations, scratches, and rust. When loading into containers for transport, give priority to freight forwarders with experience in transporting oversized cargo. Minimize the number of transshipments during transit, and ensure that professional staff verify on site that all items are properly supported and secured before allowing them to be loaded into the container. Avoid collisions and damage caused by a shift in the center of gravity, and take photographs of key areas for your records to help clarify liability at a later date. During acceptance inspection upon delivery, in addition to a visual inspection, key dimensions and perpendicularity are verified using measuring instruments to ensure there is no distortion that could affect installation accuracy. This avoids situations where work on site has to be halted and materials repurchased due to component deformation, which would disrupt the construction schedule and budget. Discrepancies between samples and bulk production in color, thickness, moisture content stem from a lack of oversight during the gap between sample approval and bulk production. When a factory switches to a different batch of raw materials or adjusts its production process, it is only when the goods arrive that they realize something is amiss. Our procedure is as follows. Once the sample has been approved by the client, both parties sign off on it, and it is sealed as a master sample. When mass production commences, a third-party inspector is arranged to carry out an interim inspection. Check on site that the raw materials, specifications, and manufacturing processes match the gold sample, and rectify any issues immediately. Once the bulk shipment is complete, carry out another spot check to verify color differences and thickness specifications against the reference sample. Any items that do not meet the specifications must not be loaded onto the container. Avoid customer complaints and claims, delays in building inspections, and the need for subsequent reprocurement. The mismatch between delivery times and the construction schedule stems from the accuracy of delivery time estimates and the follow-up process. Delivery time fluctuations include the assessment of uncertainties such as production cycles, public holidays, production scheduling during peak seasons, tight container space availability, port congestion, route changes, and inland transport lead times affected by extreme weather. We usually start by confirming the delivery date with the client's project manager, then work backwards to determine the latest possible order date, whilst allowing for a buffer period. Arrange for on-site supervision during production to verify the actual production schedule and avoid delays. In the event of a potential delay, we will liaise with the factory to speed up production or increase the workforce. However, the proposal must be approved by the client or agent. It is not permitted to subcontract the work privately to small manufacturers in order to meet tight deadlines. Should space become tight during the peak season for sea freight, we have alternative routes and partner freight forwarders at our disposal, and we will monitor the process from start to finish. To avoid delays on site caused by late delivery of materials, which can lead to idling of labor, extended construction periods, and delayed opening, clients may also face the risk of breach of contract and claims for compensation. The overall structure of the assembled product does not conform to the assembly drawing. This is primarily because the bill of materials does not conform to the assembly drawing. It may be that there is a problem with the client's design office or the engineers themselves, or that an error has occurred during the conversion of parameters. This may be due to an error in the factory's production process, or it may be caused by the accumulation of minor deviations across multiple products. Before placing an order, we remind customers to check that their purchase list complies with the structural specifications. Ensure that all parameters in the translated version match those in the original list before placing the order and proceeding with production. To prevent problems arising from the accumulation of minor deviations across multiple products, it is particularly important to station staff at the factory to monitor production. Materials do not meet the required standards. The wrong factory was selected. The factory's material certifications do not comply with the standards required by the destination. Before placing an order, we will first verify that the certification documents provided by the factory comply with the standards recognized by the destination market. For example, for shipments to EU countries, we will check whether the CE marking corresponds to the relevant European standard EN. Verify once again whether this certificate itself is genuine and valid. When selecting a factory, give priority to those with a track record of successfully obtaining local approval for similar products. To avoid a situation where, after materials have been used in a construction project, local authorities request proof of compliance which cannot be provided, resulting in the structure being forcibly demolished. The incompatibility of power and water system standards stems from errors in the power and water parameters and certification, where the intended destination has not been specified. Before placing an order, we will first confirm the specific parameters of the destination's electrical and plumbing standards with the client's engineer. Details such as voltage, number of phases, socket types, conduit material, and diameter must all be clearly established. At the same time, confirm whether the product requires the relevant local certification, such as UL or CLVD. When selecting a factory, give priority to those with experience of exporting to the target market and include these criteria in the procurement specifications. Prior to production, check that the drawings and product specifications comply with the technical specifications. Before dispatch, verify the actual items against the technical specifications item by item and only load them into the container once it has been confirmed that there are no issues. This avoids a situation where materials arrive on site only to be found to be incompatible, forcing us to dismantle and start again, which would delay both the project and the schedule. The issue of accelerated material degradation in coastal and extreme climatic environments must be addressed right from the stage of selecting the appropriate material grade. The first step is to confirm the corrosion environment classification with the client's designers. Specify the following standards in the procurement specifications. Hot dip galvanized steel in accordance with ISO 1461, 316 stainless steel for fittings. Depending on the corrosion rating, aluminum materials are treated using either anodizing or fluorocarbon coating. When selecting manufacturers, give priority to those with experience in coastal projects characterized by high humidity and high salinity during the PSI inspection prior to dispatch. Verify that the actual surface treatment process and coating thickness correspond to the corrosion environment class originally confirmed. This prevents materials from corroding prematurely and having to be replaced early, thereby reducing maintenance costs and maximizing the project's return on investment. Map coordinate distribution of factories for various products in China. The detailed information for each factory map coordinate contains over 100 items. All factory information is then scored across these dimensions. Rigorously select the best factories from a massive pool of factories. How can I help you? Goodbye.